Hi BookTube, welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie and today it's time for a review. I just finished this yesterday and I loved it. It was awesome. I did do a review on Storygraph and Goodreads, but I think my introductory paragraph that summed up the plot was not very good. I had really struggled with it. So I'm hoping this review will be better. A better way to talk about the plot. So I'm going to start with explaining the narrative structure of this book, and one of the reasons why some people did not love this book is it's a very different kind of narrative structure. We have kind of three narrators. We have our two main characters. Our main character, and one of the main antagonists. Our main character is in prison, and she's his captor, not his guard. She's guarding him. And he has claimed he is bored, and so she insists he tell his story. So he starts telling his story, but she's like, nope. I want to tell your story from the point of view I think you should have started with. So you have her telling his story from one point of view, and then him telling his story from another point of view. And then this is actually a recording, a record of these events. So we have a third-party narrator, who is a scholar, and he offers opinions and comments on what the characters are talking about and doing via footnotes. And I know not everybody likes footnotes. I think they're kind of interesting because it's a way to allow for the author to, add some stuff that they didn't want to add to bog down the story. Because you know how, they have the whole iceberg effect where you don't want to tell them everything. You want to imply that everything is beneath the surface. So, because the story could get boring, and so they can't tell every detail. And footnotes can kind of add some of those little bits of details that they couldn't put in the main story. And of course, it's not just boredom, it's also the fact that, sometimes not everybody, when they talk, not everybody's going to do these long monologues explaining things to people unless asked. The only time you might get that is if someone's, in a classroom, a professor's explaining something to a student or something. Because, and occasionally maybe someone explaining to the clueless here or something, but even then they're not going to tell you every single thing. That's just not how people are. And also the footnotes can be very entertaining. I remember in the Bartemius trilogy, the footnotes were very funny because Bartemius had quite a sarcastic mindset and a very negative opinion about humans, particularly wizards, sorcerers. So that could be really amusing to read. And this guy is very sarcastic and very snarky and witty, and will point out things that the characters don't know. That's another thing that footnotes can provide. There are information that the characters might not know, that the scholar, or the third party might be able to reveal to the reader some things that, explain some things. So now the reason one of the narrators, the narrator that is not the main character, can also talk about the main character's stories because they are also a creature, a shapeshifter type creature that can see your memories. They can absorb your memories and can become you if they kill you. So this character, Talon, she's called a mimic, is able to do that but she obviously does not kill him. But she has his memory, so she knows the story as well as he knows the story. So that also provides a very interesting take, an outsider's perspective on Kieran, our main character. So this is one of those, stories that's a, kind of a chosen one story. But as this tagline implies, what if the chosen one was not the hero? So, you find out that there's a prophecy about Kieran that he might actually destroy the world instead. That he might not be meant to save it. And throughout this whole book, he's trying to fight his destiny. And not just fight his destiny, fight his family as well. because it turns out that he starts out the story, his part of the story, he starts out that he is the son of a woman who owns a whorehouse, Ola, and his father is a musician who wants him to learn how to play an instrument because he's musically inclined in a way because he has this golden voice, this really beautiful voice. But he ends up getting into the thieving business, and while committing one of those stealing from someone, he ends up encountering a demon who's trying and it turns out when his encounter with the demon, it is revealed that he is the son of one of the noble or aristocratic families. So he's actually the long-lost son of the Demon family, and they are all assholes. I mean, some of them are a little nicer than others. But, yeah, so he's basically kind of, he has to deal with his family, and his biological family are horrible people. They're not even really a family. And that's kind of Talon's story, him dealing with his family, and then there's, and how, his dad expects him, his grandfather wants him to spy on his dad wants him to, protect the family image and legacy, and also wants to use him for something, so there's all this political drama, family drama, and you can't trust anyone in this family, and there's really only one character that I think is innocent in this family, and that is his little brother, Gallon, and he's so sweet and everything, and I just feel so bad for him. He gets abused and everything, and he's just relieved when Kieran shows up because he's no longer the target of their father, Darzan. And, you just want to give him a hug. He's so sweet and such a, you just feel bad for this kid. And him and Kieran end up really hitting it off really well and becoming good friends and really caring about each other. Although sometimes, that affection is called into question a couple times. And then you have Kieran's point of view of the story is he has been sold into slavery and has at some point and is getting auctioned off, but then when he's auctioned off, he ends up being bought by these people who end up kidnapping him and taking him on this boat that he was on this boat, and they end up getting, after being attacked by this huge ass dragon, which the dragons are really cool in this book, he ends up getting stuck on an island where it turns out that he's trapped there because he needs to learn how to fight, and because it turns out that these people that know that he's part of a potential prophecy, so they want to train to fight, and also the dragon that attacked them heard Kieran sing and is like, now I want to keep you as my little pet. And so now he's basically stuck on this island. And trapped there, because this dragon wants to use him as a little boy toy. His own little performer. And he's not really prepared to fight his family, his biological father. But anyway, you have these really great characters, these really fun characters. Kieran is impulsive and temperamental, but he's also really cool, and you kind of feel for him. You feel bad for the guy. You can understand where his temper's coming from. I mean, he's being told he's the heir to this horrible family, and that he might destroy the world. And he's just a kid. He's still a teenager, And even though in the other timeline he's a little bit older and close to it, I think he's an adult, or at least just reached adulthood. He's still very young and impulsive and frustrated and a little bit arrogant, but he's still really, you still gotta like him. I liked his sarcasm, and I'd probably be angry too. I mean, I don't know if I would be able to, talk back to his biological dad the way he did. Because there are times when I was just on the one hand, I was like, go, Kieran! But on the other hand, I was like, no, you probably should not have done that. That was kind of dumb on your part. But I think he's aware of the possibility of he tends to get himself in trouble a lot, and digs his own grave a couple times. We also have like Darzan. Darzan was this really great, hateable villain. You just hated him. He's such a bastard. He was horrible. He was abusive, and there's abuse in the story. He hits both Galen and Kieran, and he hits his wife as well. He's such an abusive jerk, and you just hate his guts, and you want him to die. So he makes this horrible, sadistic, but really, really sadistic character. But he's just such a great antagonist because of that. It makes it easy to hate him and to be actually intimidated by him, because you don't know when he's gonna snap, when he's gonna get mad. Kieran never knows when. I think eventually he starts to realize what buttons to push and how far to go. He's constantly being told, don't push this guy's buttons. You can't defend yourself against him, but Kieran just keeps doing it. And you have, I like Tirith. I kind of ship Tirith and Kieran. Kind of ship them as a couple. I don't know if anyone's going to happen between the two of them. I think they might just be friends. Tirith but I really like them together, and I hope, if any of you have read this series, don't tell me. But yeah, I kind of ship them together, Tirith and Kieran. I kind of hope they work. Because their banter is really fun and funny, and they at the moment they just can't stand each other. They hate each other, but they're starting to slowly become friends and respect each other. And I'm still kind of hoping for them to to start to actually see each other as more than just friends. But I don't know. And also, I think the next book, we're not with Kieran anymore. We're with a different character in the second book. But anyway, I also, I liked all the other characters, now some of the names were, I'm not, that doesn't, because I've read so much fantasy is my genre, my main genre, so the names don't bother me, but I can get why other people that don't read fantasy would struggle with the names, because some of these names, I didn't know how to say them. There were some names, I don't even know if I'm saying Tirith's name right. The only way I know is if I hear other people say them, if I listen to an audiobook, or watch another reviewer's video. So, yeah. So, like I said, the narrative structure is a little confusing at first. And it took me some time to figure out which timeline was the first timeline, which was the second timeline. Which was the present day timeline, which was in the past, if that makes sense. I was a little confused there. But once I got into it, I was good with that. There is a bit of a reincarnation aspect to the story that kind of makes who's related to who very confusing, all the family trees. That was very confusing and overwhelming. And then also there's a bit of incest in the story, especially because it's kind of linked with the reincarnation aspect of the plot. So that was a little weird, but I just went with it. It's the same thing with Game of Thrones, where you have the couple, you have Jaime Lannister and Cersei being brother and sister, and they're having an incestuous relationship. So you have two characters that kind of did that too, although they end up not liking each other. They hate each other's guts. And you're not supposed to be rooting for them anyway. Which I don't think you're supposed to be rooting for Jaime or Cersei either, as a couple in Game of Thrones. So, So it doesn't stop me from reading the book and enjoying the book. It was just one aspect that was okay, that's gross. But it kind of was connected to the reincarnation aspect of this aspect. There are also, at least I thought the dragons were really cool. They were very scary and intimidating. And so, I love I am a big fan of dragons. I like a lot of people are probably. And I like both when they're scary and intimidating, but also when they're cute and playful and have, intellectual personalities. In Aragon, or, in, I'm reading the Tamara series. I like that, but I also like, in this book, the old man, he's actually, I like his character. He's very, he's like a spoiled child in a way. He kind of reminds me a little bit of, speaking of Game of Thrones, reminds me a little bit of, what is his name? That little bratty boy. Cersei's a little brat. I can't think of his name. Joffrey. He kind of reminds me of Joffrey. If Joffrey could breathe fire and was a dragon. Which is kind of funny if you think about it. If you read, or at least watched the show House of the Dragon or read Fire and Blood, you'll understand why. That's kind of funny, that comparison. But anyway, like, he's so spoiled. He's like, he wants Kieran to sing for him, and he is very intimidated and has this deluded sense of helping Kieran out. Like, he thinks he's doing him a favor because of something, he's supposedly trying to protect Kieran, but he doesn't realize, for a human, his idea of protection is not that great. It's kind of, Tyanso, that's her name. I was trying to think of the character of Tyanso's name when I started talking about the names and how I don't know how to pronounce them. Some of them. Tyanso, I really liked her. I liked Minya too. And Alshana, I liked her. And Talon was, I really liked her character too. She's very sassy and sarcastic and kind of scary in her own way. Like, she's the mimic character, and she, like, is very sassy and sarcastic, and again, witty banter between her and Kieran. And like I said, Minya, I really like. She was that character that's like, she can be really sweet, but she's all in mothering. Like, she's a very nurturing person, but she's also kind of potential to be scary, and like, you still don't know if you can trust her. Like, the people she's part of the Damon family, and like, all them, her, Alshana, of course Darzin, you don't know if you can trust them, but some of them you're actually kind of charmed by. Not Darzin, but like Alshana and Mia, I cannot figure out how to say these names. You're actually charmed by them, and you kind of like them and hope that they survive the story, even though they're part of this family. Also, the world building was really interesting, and you really got immersed in the world, and I feel like the author did not hold your hand at all. It was just, and the world is so vast, I feel like you get the capital city, but then where half the story takes place, and then the other half takes place at this island. I also really like Doc's character. Doc's character he was really fun. He's that mentor figure that's kind of grumpy and, is mean and almost a bully. But considering the world that they are in and the situation that Kieran finds himself in and what he has to do, can't blame him for being a hard-ass on Kieran. But he's definitely a mentor figure. But he's kind of like a Lyko mentor figure, because he's just so, like, you see where he's coming from. Like I said, you can kind of understand why he's a hard ass. And he's very funny and just blunt. Just very blunt. So the world, what else can I say about this? Again, this is another fantasy book where the chapters are short, which I really appreciated. And helped me get through it really fast. Like, it kind of surprised me, because I put this down for a while. I started reading, then I put it down for a period of time, and then I finally decided to come back to it now. Like, I think I started in 2021. I'm embarrassed to admit. And then I put it down, which it doesn't mean I was reading it the whole time. Obviously, I put it on my shelf, and I kept, looking at it and thinking, I need to get back to that book. It's the same thing with what happened with Peace and Turmoil, where I put the book on the shelf for a period of time, like I started and then put it away. And there might have been a couple times where I picked it up and read at least a little bit, but it wasn't until this third round that I finally picked it up and really got into it, got immersed in the story, and really enjoyed where we were going with it. But yeah, this was so much fun. It is a very dark, gritty story. I don't know what fantasy category this would be in. Would it be in high fantasy or epic? I just recently watched what is this? Chapter and Words, Jay's channel, where he talked about all the different genres of fantasy, like all the subgenres. And I don't know what this one would be. Is it epic fantasy or high fantasy? I don't know, because we do have a character that kind of has a sort of quest, or like he's a chosen one, but then we have a big ensemble of characters. But then I guess, like, even shows are considered just high fantasy or epic I don't have to watch his video again because I don't remember which is which. But because there are so many. And he even said towards the end of his video when he was done, he was like, there are probably so many other categories of subgenres of fantasy that he didn't know about. Because a lot of people have gone so, over the past, 10, 20 years, people have gotten really creative with fantasy. And done so much more than what, has really expanded on Tolkien's ideas. Or like, Ursula K. Le Guin's ideas, I guess. Or even, I don't know what the other big fantasy authors before, today, but other than Tolkien. But anyway, this was just so good. I definitely am looking forward to reading, and I'm glad that I believe the series is done. Like, Jenn Lyon's just finished the series, so I just gotta buy all the books. I don't know when I'll get to the next one, because I don't know if it's at Books A Million, then I can get it at some point, unless I get distracted by other books I want to get at that time. But like I said, I don't want to, if I buy it online, I'm trying to not buy books every month online, at least, because, I'll still go to the bookstore, but try not to buy books online every month. So I'm trying to, like, skip months. I already failed once, but I'm gonna try to skip buying books in March, at least online anyway. I'm not gonna, I'm still gonna buy books at the store, but I'm trying to skip buying books online in March. So I don't know when I'll get to this one. Hopefully I won't mess up again. But anyway, this was so much fun, and I hope that when you guys thought that was a good review and enough to get you interested in this book, or to realize this is not the book for you. Because I know that review wasn't as succinct as some of my other reviews and not as organized, but it's just so hard to summarize what this book is about. But especially the bigger the fantasy, the harder it is for me to sum up what it's about. I can just talk about my feelings, and of course, they're obviously, just like with Peace and Turmoil, sometimes I also even can't really sum up my feelings, and I can't really explain some things as well as I could. I do want to reread Peace and Turmoil at some point, maybe the closer it is to whenever Elliot Brooks publishes the next book in that series, because it is a series. It is going to be a series, but anyway, so either way, I hope to get to the second book soon. I mean, my birthday is in May, so I could put it on my wish list for my birthday. But anyway, but yeah, this was so much fun. I definitely recommend it. I mean, like I said, if some of the things I said aren't for you, then I don't sound as intriguing to you or sound as fun, then that's fine. But for people that this sounds interesting, I recommend it. It's really fun. And if you guys like this review and like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Click subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell notification below if you want to be notified when I post my videos. And I will talk to you all later. All right, bye!